G'day guys, welcome to another layout. Now, I am trying to go through and any of my collections that I'm getting down to minimal bits and pieces, I'm trying to use them up a little bit. So this particular one is the Simple Stories Full Bloom collection. It was one that was released last year. I love it. It's gorgeous. I love the colors, but I'm getting down to the colors I'm not so much of a fan of, like the Fire Engine Red. So I decided that I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm going to run with this. So this one has lots of little dots in the background. I did just go in boots and all. I'm scrapbooking a photo of my husband and I when we were at the local pool, and this is quite some years ago, and it was really good. We had a great day. It was fantastic. But he's got a little bit of orange and yellow and a little bit of red on his swim shirt. So I thought, you know what? Perfect chance to use up some of these colours that I probably don't normally, I wouldn't really reach for them that much, if I'm being honest. This is a little cheats way of getting coloured corners without using an entire 12 by 12 sheet. You just stick some on the back, then when you fold your corner up, boom, bada bing, look at that. It looks like it's backed with orange instead of cut apart cards. So I haven't done something like this in forever, so I thought I'd give this one a crack, and it just brings a different bit of colour in. I even pulled out my brads. Look at that. These are my large brads. This is my entire collection of my larger brads. I have another container full of smaller brads. Now, I decided that I would use some of these because why not? So I use an old mouse pad underneath, and I just use my pokey tool and I just poke them through to the back. Now, because I'm backing this onto another sheet of cardstock, I'm not worried about the pins and how they sit and all the rest of it. That doesn't bother me one little bit. Never really has, to be honest. Some people are really had up about the pins going through, but I just use the pokey tool. Stab wherever you want on your page and poke them through. It works a treat. So I might actually use some more of those this week or next week on a layout. This particular busy background, paper was called Blossom, and I just wasn't feeling it. It's too busy and it's not really my shade. I'm really liking this piece of orange though. So I'm thinking if I pull in as much of this orange into the layout, and if I spread it out as much as I can, then maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to pull this off. I am distressing all the edges because I just love the texture from that. I know some people you either love it or you hate it. I personally am loving it at the moment, so I'm using it a fair bit. Now this is another, it's an ephemera pack that I bought. It's called Simple Stories, Simple Stories, Page Pieces Gathered Together. So it's from a different collection, but it's Simple Stories, and this is what I say. Quite often, if you buy the same brand, so Simple Stories, or if you buy, Pink Fresh Studio, whichever the brand is that you get, quite often collections will match with the previous collection. So you'll be able to get elements that will match. So I'm struggling a little bit with the title. It's feeling a little bit floaty. So I ended up going through and I decided, you know what? I'm going to use some more of that orange. So I really like this orange. I love, for all my newbies on here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching and seeing what I create. I am just letting you know that I love yellow, and I'm really starting to love this orange. There was a collection I used last year, and it was a mega pad, and it was fall, something to do with fall. I can't remember what it was called now. I think it was a Cartabellum or Cartabella Studios, or it was, can't remember. Echo Park maybe? And that orange, that pumpkin orange, oh, I loved it. So I decided I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to back the word together and give it something so it's not floating. Now, I still haven't glued down anything yet. I'm still working on that at this stage. Now, I do end up putting these flowers down, and I got sidetracked and I didn't put them exactly how I had them here. I sort of moved them. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, it still looks fine. But so these are the flowers you can see on that piece of paper there. I just fussy cut them. They really weren't difficult. I know they look like they're really hard to cut out, but they're not. They were super, super simple and very forgiving. So that's something I always try and do whenever I buy a collection or I buy individual papers, because I do that quite a lot. I try and make sure that I've got at least one sheet of something I can fussy cut. That way I can extend the life of the papers. So that's pretty much where I go with that. Now, you saw me pull out of my little die cut Ziploc bag there. I have got this branch that's called tiny branches or large branches or something. And I love using those little sprigs just to add a little bit of something to the... Oh, that's right. Yep. I just remember what I did. Now, they just add a little bit of extra to the page, a little bit of extra bulk, and I like sticking them in there. I think a lot of people do things like this. I like doing it because it's kind of like a generic piece of foliage. Now, I am bringing in that bit of red. I know you don't see me use that red very often because secretly, don't tell anyone, but I don't like that colour. But I'm just not a bright red person. I like claret red. I don't like fire engine red. That's just me. Controversial, some may say, but that's just me. Now, I have distressed the edges. As you could see, I didn't put that whole sheet in the background. We need to be mindful not to make our layouts that heavy that they're going to pull on the spine of our albums when we decide this is the album we want. You know, you don't want to have to rebuy albums because you're breaking them. So, and you don't want to overfill them too much. So that's why I use the craft foam on the back of things instead of chipboard or anything like that, because that just adds a lot of weight. The craft foam is light. Whether I use the strips, the dots, or the fun foam. See, I moved the flowers. Can you see what I just did? Whoops. So, and they sort of went in a line. I wanted them to be more on the corner, but anyway, it's okay. I think they look all right. Probably not how I would have done them originally, but that's okay. So when I did this, I was pretty happy with it, but these little sprigs, they're called tiny branches. These little things, they needed to be coloured. So I pulled out Distress Oxide in Bundled Sage because that colour goes with this collection quite nicely. Even though there is no... I could have done these in red, I could have done these in orange, I could have done them in any other colour, but my brain has trouble. If there's flowers, it's got to be greenery that goes with it. Like otherwise it just doesn't work in my head. So this is where I'm just adding a few, and this is the benefit of having a die like this. You can just keep cutting these things out. They're white. I can make them green on this. I can do them in bright colors. I can do all sorts of things with them, and they can really pull a page together in the end. So this is where I ended up. I went around the outside edges with some sewing. Now, I haven't done any machine sewing on any of my layouts in a while, so I decided that I'd do a zigzag stitch all the way around, and I did some on the photo as well, just to sort of add some extra texture and whatnot. And what I actually did is on this red corner, I did run some stitching on it and I didn't like it. Instantly, as soon as I did it, it was a mistake. So if I had have just pulled the stitching off, I would have just had holes in my page. So I decided to double up that red corner because we all know I'm not going to use it anywhere else. So I doubled it up and I actually quite like that. It looks pretty good. So it's at this point that I decided, you know what, in that brad box, there was actually some yellow and some orange large round brads. They're a matte finish, they're not a gloss thing, and I thought they would look really good. Of course, I only had 4 yellow ones, didn't I? Oh, isn't it always the way? We stop buying things because we think, no, we've got heaps, we've got plenty of them. But no, of course, I'm short like 2 brads. So I decided, apologies, that's my emails coming in. I decided to put orange in the center. Why not? Just because it's going on top of yellow. So what? Doesn't matter. So I put orange in the center and that just tied the orange in even more. Now, this is where I start to have a little bit of an issue. You know, and I say this all the time, so they go through the back. That doesn't faze me one little bit. Now, when I do this sort of thing, so this is my liquid pearls. I'm going around there, around those brads. I'm going around those, and I'm just adding some shiny, shimmery, yellow, golden nuggets of goodness. That's liquid pearls, and it is sunflower. So the other thing that I realized on this particular page was the together is the only bit of black. I've got together black and I've got black in the photo. I struggle with this because I like to have the color repeat 3 times if it's one of the dark bold colors. Now, I'm not going over the black so you can't see it. I'm just adding a little bit of bundled sage. Now, this is the difference between the Distress Oxide and the Distress Ink. As you can see, the Distress Oxide, which is what I've used on the branches, see, it's a solid color. It's the pigment ink. It sits on top of the cardstock. That's what it is. What I'm using here is the Distress Ink. It's more like a watercolor. So it's transparent. So it's not actually going, it's not going to go on top of the black. It's going to absorb in and you're still going to see the black through it. And you're still going to, but you're going to get the bundled sage color on it. It's not as bold as I would have liked, but that's okay. Now I'm doing some splatters. I did some with the bundled sage Distress Oxide ink, and now I'm just going around the edges. I'm being very rough for a reason. I'm trying to make it look a bit grungy around the edges. I used the Distress ink for the edges, and then I realized I didn't put my So Sweet on there. So once I popped that on there, I'm absolutely loving this. Then I realized that the black is all on its own. I need to add some more black. So I thought, okay, I'll use the Distress ink, and I just want teeny tiny splatters, and look what just happened. Off to the right hand side. This is why I don't like splatters. It does my head in. But I just have to leave it be. If I tried to remove it, if I tried to do something else with it, would have ruined it. But instead, here's the close-ups. You let me know. Is it a yeah, nah, or a nah, yeah? Did I win? There's the stitching, pointing that out. You can see the brads in the center of the flowers. That's the difference. See how the distress, see if you look in the word together, you can see that it's not white, but it's not covering over the black. So the black splatters are there. I probably could have done a bit more pen work, but when I do my journaling on here, I will do it in the black. So that'll give me that third bit of black. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Down below will be everything I used. I will have everything written there. And I will be back with another layout tomorrow. In the description below as well, there will be links to my socials if you have not jumped over to either Instagram or to Facebook. We have an amazing group of ladies over there that love to chit chat and help each other out. So come on over. Thanks, guys. Chat to you soon. Bye for now.